Out of mana again. I gotta restart the game, make a new account, get a new character. Should just make a mana regen system. Can't be that hard. Or can it? Okay, welcome to DevLog number, 4. Let me show you all of the things I've done since last time. There's a lot. So I changed the character selection window and character creation window. So you can say, yeah, this is my name. And you can change the color of your dude. Very cool. I changed a little bit about nameplates. I made 2 different enemies. I made tab targeting a thing and this glow around the nameplates. I made a settings window. You can change the field of view. You can change controls. Audio, but there's no audio in the game right now. And graphic settings, so you can change resolution and render scale if your CPU is bad or GPU is bad, or the UI scale if you're hard of seeing, and FPS, all the cool stuff you would expect. I made condition stacks actually do stuff now, so now I can apply 1 stack of this, does 2 damage every second, another stack of this, 4 damage, and so on. Super easy to kill. I made another type of condition stack behavior thing, so together with a oh god, how do I explain this? Together with a new meta effect wrapper, which is conditional. Basically, this skill will apply this debuff on an enemy, and when it reaches 3 stacks, it will switch to this debuff, and then this skill, if the target has that debuff, will apply that debuff instead. So this is oscillating burn up until 3 stacks, which changes to mend, and then it applies mend, and then that flips back to burn. So I can do very fancy things with number of stacks and conditional behaviors for whatever I want, really. I can have skills do different things based on your character level entirely, or I also made a loot thing. So this is now a corpse that I can loot. And if I right click on this, I looted a trinket, and then that corpse despawns after 5 seconds. So there's no inventory, there's no items or anything. This just prints to the system log whenever I do the action of looting a corpse. And then, most importantly, I did mana regen, which is kind of complex. So typically in games like World of Warcraft, you have mana regen that is tick based. In this footage you can see health regen happening about every 2 seconds. I don't know if that's actually the rate that it's updating or if that's just the UI update frequency, but I'm pretty sure it's actually updating every 2 seconds. But what I did is I made mana regen a lot smoother, so this is not updating data from the server whatsoever. The only time mana regen or any resource regen like health updates is when you either spend it or gain it, or the rate of regeneration changes. So if I apply a modifier, for example, that gives me mana regen. So this one gives me in combat. Whoa, okay, that's interesting. This one gives me in combat flat mana regen, I think. Yeah, it multiplies my flat in combat mana regen by 5. So I basically have these types of stats to play around with. I have 4 health, I have flat in combat regen, flat out of combat regen, and a percentage of max health per second in combat and out of combat. And I have like a bunch of modifiers for all of these stats as well. So I have additive and multiplicative modifiers that you can put on a character for each of these: flat, out of combat, or percentage out of combat, all of that stuff. But I mentioned that I don't recalculate aside from when I spend it or when I change the regen rate. So I change it when I apply a modifier that affects that specific resource type. I have this huge match statement that tells me which modifiers corresponds to which resource. But basically the recalculation takes into account the time that I've been in combat and the time I've been out of combat. So whenever I do a hostile action, that registers or updates the last hostile time of this entity, which is me. So I will always know when I last did something that would have gotten me into combat. And then I have like a const variable somewhere, I think, which just tells me, I think it's like 5 seconds. And when the time since my last hostile time is over 5 seconds, then I know I'm not in combat anymore. And my recalculation function basically takes the time I've been in combat and the time I've been out of combat into account. And so does the client. So the client also knows this information and can like interpolate where the value would be if it was updated. So the important part is that I recalculate just when I actually need to, because it's been like spent by something or the regen rate changes. I'm sure I'm not explaining this perfectly, but I don't really have time to make fancy graphics for this. Just know that it's like very cool, it's very bandwidth efficient, and it doesn't recalculate like very often. So the only issue with this overdoing like a fixed 2-second tick rate whatever is that this recalc must happen anytime I take damage. So if I'm being surrounded by like 10 enemies, it's possible that this recalculation happens 10 times a second. But usually if I'm like in range and have a tank with me, like I don't take damage, then this will only be recalced whenever I actually like use a skill. And it's not like it's a heavy calculation either. Okay, so what is a hostile action then? So I updated all of my effects, so now they have a hostility value basically, or a state. Anytime I deal damage, that's a hostile action. Anytime I do healing, that's a friendly action. Currently the only thing that matters are hostile actions. Whenever I apply a condition, I actually check the condition itself to see the hostility state of the specific condition, because they also now have hostility states. So whenever an effect is executed, if it has a hostility value of hostile, then I register that as a hostile action, so I know I'm in combat and basically affect regen based on that. And then I can do other stuff with the in combat state later, I guess. But I don't do that right now. Anyway, that's enough for this video. A lot of stuff's happening, a lot of small changes are coming in all the time, every day. I'm kind of designing the inventory and item system, and I'm really torn up about what to do there. So if you've got any suggestions, please join the Discord. Links in the description. You know the drill. Like and subscribe. Okay, so next video will be about